Hi, friends.
Hi, friends.
We're back. It's episode 117 of the Brunch and Judge.
Yay!
Fireworks.
It'll be a bigger deal when we get to 125.
Sure. Maybe.
Like,
if we remember.
If we remember, yeah.
We are your hosts. I'm April.
And I'm Claire.
And this week we are talking around the world. Have to put in my own echo. Sorry.
You don't have that effect on your microphone.
I'm sure I could put it in, but I don't. I'm lazy. It's been a long work week. I won't lie. It's been a lot of working. A lot of week happened this week, so.
Yeah, you and I were talking. I don't know about the rest of you, but we were talking. I don't know why, but this week has been a shit show, and it's the longest week ever. Don't know why. I don't know if it's the same for you guys, but
I mean,
I don't know if the moon is doing something weird or Mercury's retrograde or what's happening. Because
I was like, Mercury shouldn't be in retrograde. Let's see.
I don't know what's going on.
Because for some reason, my calendar tells me when Mercury is in retrograde.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. I noticed it last month because Mercury was in retrograde last month. And I
love those calendars that tell you like the weird celestial stuff that's going on. I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Not a damn thing.
I don't know what the moon cycle is going on right now, but something weird is happening.
See, I think we have a full moon on the 23rd, maybe.
Okay, not even close.
Who knows? I don't know.
This whole week has been chaos. To be fair,
we may have just jumped another timeline, and that is why everything is all fucked up in the shit show. Because, like,
you know what? Did you send that to me about Betsy Ross?
I did.
That was you. Okay.
I sent that to you because...
Yeah, we probably did jump
Hey, guys, guess what? Betsy Ross, a lie in this timeline. Apparently, she didn't make the... I mean, I know she didn't invent the American flag, but, like, she made it. Right?
Right, yeah.
Except, no, she didn't.
I
can't.
I know.
This timeline is stupid, all right? I don't want to anymore.
Me either. Fair.
Anyway. Around the world. So this week, I go first.
Yes.
And I bring you the story of the discovery of the North Pole.
Oh, the discovery of the North Pole.
Yeah, I mean, I guess discovery is not the right word. I mean, we knew it existed. The first person to, get there.
To, get to the North Pole?
Yes, where the whole, here's my flag, kind of a...
I found Santa. Yay.
So, right? So, the discovery of the North Pole. Claire, do you have any idea who discovered the North Pole?
I do not.
Okay, good. Because, I read random bits of information, and it's all well, everyone knows, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, does everyone?
Do we?
Did I ever know this?
Do we?
I don't feel like I've ever known who was, the first, guy to whip out his dick and be like, this is the North Pole.
And piss on the North Pole and mark it as his.
I mean, right? So I was like, well, maybe that was just a thing I just didn't hold on to. But since you don't know it either, then I feel comfortable being like, okay, this is not common knowledge.
You might say it might trigger some kind of memory. But right now in my memory bank, that's not an important bit of information. It's probably one of those things that have been when she said, I'll be like, oh, that name sounds familiar. That might be why.
Okay.
But right now.
Well,
North Pole.
I'm going to be honest. I tried to be like, yeah, I've heard this name before. I'm like, I don't really think I have. But to be fair, I'm obsessed with Antarctica, not the North Pole.
Right.
Whatever. So we're going... Oh, got my information from Time and the Smithsonian and Wikipedia.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Wikipedia, for always being there for me. And I do contribute a couple of bucks a year because thank you.
Right.
But I will warn you, if you do contribute even a couple bucks a year, they send you a lot of emails like, hey, you should do more. And I'm like, dude, I gave you some. Calm down.
Much?
I know. I didn't have to do that, but I did. Anyway. allergy season is here.
It is.
Okay, so September 7th, 1909.
Okay.
Everyone is waking up that day to the New York Times headline of Peary discovers the North Pole after 8 trials in 23 years.
So he tried 8 times?
Apparently. It's
Okay.
hard. It's hard to get there. So at this point, I mean, it's been well over 100 years ago for us, but at that time, the North Pole was kind of one of the last remaining places on Earth that had been unexplored. You know, we'd kind of conquered a lot of the other things, but that one was harder. And people had been trying to get there for probably like 300 years. So like there have been countless attempts from explorers from several nations trying to get there. You know, many died in the attempt. Others were, you know, grievously injured. It's cold, man. Like it's ice. It's literally, it is literally ice. That's all it is.
It is the frozen tundra.
Yes, it is. It is just ice. That's all. There is no landmass. It is ice. It's all. Sorry. So the Peary they're talking about is Robert E. Peary. Peary? Peary. I want to say Peary because Peary.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's Peary, and I have no reason for that. So I'm just going to say things, and we're all going to know that that's who I'm talking about. So
That's fair.
He sent word from Indian Harbor in Labrador. I think that's in Canada somewhere, Nova Scotia, somewhere cold still. Saying that he had reached the North Pole in April of 1909. I mean, he had to get there and come back and then be like, I was there. So, time delay.
Because he can't send anything from there.
It's 1909. We don't have cell phones. Hey, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Even if you did, I doubt there'd be cell service.
Satellite phone. I'm murdered. No.
Right.
But interestingly, just a week before, so like September 1st-ish of 1909, the New York Herald printed the headline, "The North Pole is discovered by Dr. Frederick A. Cook."
Interesting.
So Cook had been gone for a full year on his expedition to the North Pole, and everyone thought he was dead.
Because I hadn't seen
Because it had been a full year. Like, it's not supposed to, you're not supposed to be gone that long. That's not good. But he had seemingly come back from the dead and came back to let people know he made it. And he had reached the North Pole in April of 1908. A full year earlier. So...
Well, isn't he fancy?
Who discovered the North Pole, Claire?
I don't know.
Well, for many years, up until about 1988, Peary is the one who has been appointed the true victor in the discovery and pissing contest of the North Pole. Even though...
Pissing contest.
Well, I mean, because it literally is a fucking piss. It is so stupid. This is such a stupid story that I'm like, oh my God, this has such male dick energy. That
I was going to say, it's like big dick energy right here.
It's a whole lot. It's a whole lot. So in 1988, after everybody's dead, the National Geographic Society, which had been a major sponsor of Peary's expeditions, commissioned a re-examination of Peary's claim that he made it in 1909. And spoiler, they concluded from that he didn't actually have enough evidence to prove his claim. And there's actually some suggestion that he never made it to the North Pole.
What? So this whole time?
This whole fucking time, the thing that everyone apparently knows that isn't us, maybe because they decided it, maybe by 1988 they stopped saying it, but whatever. So like he got credit, and I'm talking like congressional like level credit for having found the North Pole.
And what's most important, he got it while he was alive.
Yeah.
Like,
After someone had beat him to the punch, had printed it in the newspaper. We'll go into that later. But like,
right.
And it's it is a shit show. And I'm like, guys, it's the fucking North Pole. Like, cool, but like, why? Why do we care so hard? Whatever.
It was the last frontier, apparently.
So let's talk about our good friend, Dr. Frederick A. Cook. So Cook's discovery was never proved nor disproved, and we'll explain why soon. But his descriptions of the Arctic region that were made public before Peary's were verified by later explorers. So if the stuff he wrote about, later people who went to the North Pole were like, that is correct. That is exactly correct. That is what we saw. That is
substantiated.
Yes. So why? Why did Peary's claim get trump Cook's, who claimed it first, and inevitably later people were like, no, this guy was right. Like that's what it is. So let's go back to 1909. So we have the dueling headlines, and the claim of who discovered the North Pole was, of course, a huge story at the time because it's 1909. What else are we going to talk about? Let's do this. And what's really bizarre is that Peary and Cook started out life as friends, as shipmates, and went on expeditions together. So be careful who your friends are. So just after graduating medical school in 1890, Dr. Frederick Cook at this point, his wife and baby die in childbirth, and he is devastated. He's 25 years old. He, is heartbroken. He's suffering from depression. And in his grief, he ends up kind of falling into articles and books about exploration and kind of using that as a thing to focus on and be interested in because everything else in his life is a little sucky. And so he reads about Peary, who is a civil engineer with the U.S. Navy, who at this time in 1890 were seeking volunteers to go on an expedition to Greenland, because that's how you would get there.
Right.
And he needed a physician, a doctor for that expedition. And so Cook is like, let's do it. I'm going to go. So he joins the 1891 Greenland expedition. Now, something happened on the way to Greenland, apparently, because Peary ends up shattering his leg. And so Cook is able to set his two broken bones, and they have a good relationship after this, because Peary is like, Frederick is very unruffled. He's very patient. He's got a very cool demeanor in an emergency, and like talks very positively about Cook in the book that he wrote called Northward Over the Great Ice. So Peary himself had kind of fallen into this line of interest because he had heard about a Swedish explorer who had failed his attempt to be the first to cross the Greenland ice cap. And so Peary was like, I want to do this. I want to go to the ice cap. I want to do the North Pole. I want to be the one. So he borrows $500 from his mommy so that he can outfit himself. Oh, and he took like a summer-long sledge trip. That's like the sleigh thing with the dogs.
Yeah.
To try and accomplish it himself. But the ice conditions were pretty unpredictable. His supplies were dwindling, so he had to turn back. But he wrote his mommy about the trip that she financed and said, "My last trip brought my name before the world. My next will give me a standing in the world. I will be foremost in the highest circles in the capital and make powerful friends with whom I can shape my future instead of letting it come as it will. Remember, mother, I must have fame."
This sounds some like Voldemort, Hitler.
Well, I'm just saying, like
President Snow bullshit.
Peary is a douchebag, dick face.
But I mean, like all these villains and all these like dystopian novel kind of, President Snow, Voldemort, or even like Hitler. This sounds like that kind of bullshit is what that sounds like.
Oh, yes.
The start of that. That's what that sounds like. This is a villain in the making right here.
So it is.
That's what this is, a villain origin story.
This is a villain origin story. I should have said this for villains, but no one's ever heard of him. So how villainous can you imagine?
I know.
Whatever.
But yeah, but this is what this reminds. It's like that letter. Yeah, that's like a villain origin story right there.
Mummy.
I know. Mummy.
Mommy, can you pay for a new trippy trip for me?
I know, and it's like, I will have fame.
I must have fame.
I know. It will be mine. I know. That's stupid. It's like I feel like this big, like, one of those monologue speeches that they give, and you're like, stop monologuing. Oh my God. Yeah, anyway, I digress.
I mean, don't we all? So, douchebag. I mean, very obvious. Yes. He is not someone you want to hang out with. So it probably doesn't surprise you that when it came to the indigenous people that he encountered, because there are lots of indigenous peoples that are able to live in these hostile climates.
Oh, I'm sure he was right twat about it, wasn't he?
So like he only really cared about them in as much as it helped him. Right. So like on one expedition in Greenland in 1897, he orders his men to open the grave of several natives who had died in an epidemic the previous year so that he could sell their remains to the American Museum of Natural History in New York City.
That is so gross.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, villain. Absolute villainy right there. That's gross.
He also decided to bring back some living natives, 2 men, a woman, and 3 children, and dropped them off for study at the museum.
Study. Oh, is that what we're going to call it?
That's what we're going to call it. Within a year, 4 of them were dead.
Oh, God. I hate
from a strain of influenza that they had no resistance for because...
Right.
So, like... care. Now, in contrast, Dr. Frederick Cook was keenly interested in the indigenous peoples to the point that he learned their dialects. He adopted their diets. Like, he was not a dick.
Yeah,
he was like,
I want to
learn. I want to learn. I want to understand. I want to, like you live here and I want to know how you do it and I want to adopt it and not be the outsider and, give a damn. I want to give a damn. And so obviously the differences between Peary and Cook kind of showed up pretty quickly. So Cook ended up backing out of another Arctic journey after their first one to Greenland because Peary had put in the contract a clause that prohibited any member of the team from publishing anything about the trip before he had published. And Cook came to him and said he wants to write and publish a study on the ethnological Arctic natives. Like he wants to write about the people, not about anything else. And Peary was like, no. Which is nothing at all like what he wanted to write.
Yeah, because Peary obviously didn't give a shit about the people.
So like they're not hanging out together anymore. They're not besties.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna be a dick.
I mean, again, big dick energy. Super dick energy in the story. Okay. Now, in 1901, Peary is on another expedition and is lost in the Arctic. And his family and his supporters beg Frederick Cook to help, to like go on a rescue mission because he's got more experience than anyone else.
Right.
And so he agrees. And so he sails north on this like rescue mission. He manages to find Peary and he treats him for scurvy because, no fruit, but also heart problems. Like he is not well. So Cook comes, finds him, saves his fucking ass, treats him, all of that. I just want you to know, like, Cook is absolutely the fucking good guy here. It's exhausting. Now, Cook also continued like his journeys and his explorations. He traveled to Antarctica, and he made a couple of attempts to try and scale Alaska's at the time named Mount McKinley. It is not that anymore. It is named Denali.
Yes.
Just so there's the page. And he ultimately claimed to be the first to succeed in scaling it in 1906. But both of them wanted to be the first to the North Pole. That was the thing that they wanted. It's like, well, I want it. But Peary believed it was his birthright to be the first.
Oh, gosh. Get out of here.
Right?
Your
I'm just like,
birthright?
It is so absurd. I mean,
come on.
I just,
What kind
I
of-
can't even. It's so ridiculous.
kind of like Jacob and Esau bullshit is that?
I know. It is so annoying and stupid. It just, ooh. Anyway. So, reaching the North Pole, complicated, obviously. 'cause it's hard. Because, again, unlike the South Pole, Antarctica, that is a landmass that is covered in ice, the North Pole is literally just ice. Drifting ice on a sea. So it's not really, like if you go to the North Pole today, it's not the same place that was the North Pole 20 years ago because it moves.
Right.
So Cook ends up leaving from Gloucester, Massachusetts in July of 1907 to go to northern Greenland to a native settlement called, I'm gonna get this wrong. Okay.
I mean, fair.
To a native settlement called Anoatok, which is about 700 miles from the pole. So he leaves from there, because that's sort of like base camp. He leaves from the settlement in February of 1908, to take advantage of spring, summer.
Right.
With a party of 9 natives and 11 sledges, again, the sleigh things, pulled by 103 dogs.
Holy crap.
So, like, it's mostly the support team. They end up going, like, basically halfway. At which point, the support team kind of turns back, leaving Cook with 2 native hunters, and they, as a smaller group, are able to go about 15 miles a day. And so, in his notes that he took, he is one of the first people to describe the frozen polar sea in continuous motion. It was something that hadn't really been seen, hadn't been described. And then at noon, on April the 21st of 1908, he uses his custom-made French sextant to determine that they were, quote-unquote, at a spot which was as near as possible to the pole. Because, again,
right.
And at that time, the world kind of speculated that the pole could be like an open sea. There could be a whole civilization that's been living there that no one knows about. Like, no one knew anything about it.
Right.
So they get there, they discover that it's ice.
Yeah. I mean, right? Like,
and Cook writes in his journals that he and his men stayed there for 2 days, during which time the doctor reported taking more observations with his sextant to confirm their position. And before leaving, he deposited a note in a brass tube that he buried in a crevasse. Now, the return trip nearly killed them.
oh, wow.
Because they did not realize, since no one had ever done it before, that they would be drifting west. Because remember, it's ice on a sea that they're on.
Okay. So they were not like where they thought they were.
Right. So they thought it would drift east. And so they had left cached supplies in places for their return trip. And they ended up being 100 miles off course from where they should have been. So they couldn't get to supplies.
Oh, crap.
So at one point, because fucking winter hit,
right,
they were forced to hunker down in a cave and hunt with spears For 4 months, they lived there.
Oh my god.
Because they ran out of ammo. They had to make spears, and that is all they had. So everyone thought they were dead because it was 14 months later, like 14 months after they left a Noah talk, that they came back. So it's February 1909.
Wow.
So let's talk about Peary's trip for a minute. So Peary also started off with a large group that dwindled down to like a smaller expedition team. It was him, 4 natives, and another man named Matthew Henson. On April 6th of 1909, at the end of an exhausting day's march, Henson, who could not use a sextant, didn't know how, had a feeling that they were at the pole.
A feeling.
A feeling. So Peary then reaches into his garment, pulls out a folded American flag that his wife...
Yeah, does he not know how to use one either?
I don't think they just didn't bother. I don't know. Maybe they didn't even have one. I don't fucking know.
Ugh.
So Peary pulls out a flag that his wife sewed, very Betsy Ross of her, except that didn't happen. Fastens it to a staff, which he sticks atop of an igloo that the native companions had built for them. So the next day, according to Henson, Peary took a navigational sight with his sextant, though he did not tell Henson the result. So apparently he did have a sextant. Didn't tell him the result. And then Peary put I don't know what this means. He put a diagonal strip of the flag together. I guess he like ripped off a piece of, I don't know. Together with the note, put it in an empty tin, and then buried it in the ice. And then they returned home.
I guess to be like, here's our flag, bitches.
I mean, I guess, but like, whatever. So Cook at this point is trying to get back to New York, and he couldn't get a direct boat back. So he ends up heading to Copenhagen in order to get a boat. I'm not going to go into all the details because no one gives a shit. No one cares. So on the crossing to New York, he is regaling passengers with his travels, and the captain is like,
wait a minute.
Whoa. Stops the ship at one of the Shetland Islands so that they can wire the New York Herald about the trip.
Because they're like, wait. This is a big deal. This is a deal.
It's like, holy fuck, right? So he wires the New York Herald and says, reached North Pole April 21st, 1908. And then included that he would leave an exclusive 2,000-word story for the newspaper with the Danish consul at Lerwick. Because I guess he was on his way to Copenhagen, not to New York yet. And so that is when the Herald ran the headline. So back in Anoatok, Peary has made it back, and he's in Anoatok, and his men have heard from the indigenous peoples that Cook and 2 natives had already made it to the pole the previous year. And Peary is like, fucking what the fuck? And so he orders the 2 native companions that went with Cook to be brought to his ship for questioning.
Oh no.
And like, they don't have any concept of latitude, longitude, maps. They could only be like, well, we went so far and we don't know. And like, Peary also couldn't speak to the natives because he didn't give a shit.
He didn't bother to learn.
So he took from it whatever he wanted. The two natives later said that they were confused by the questions and didn't understand. Like they were forced, they were handed papers and forced to like mark their name on it, but they couldn't read the papers, so like they have no idea. So like, because Peary is butthurt. Yeah, he's a dick.
Yeah.
And like
he is butthurt.
He is pissed, and he is raging and venting his rage to anybody who will listen. And he is like, I promise to tell the world a story that will puncture Cook's bubble. Like he was like, no.
Oh my God.
So Peary orders his ship to get underway.
So he's having to
immediately. He's like, we gotta get back. We gotta fucking get back. We gotta beat this shit. And
so he's having a temper tantrum.
He's having a temper tantrum. And so he goes full speed for the nearest station where he can send a telegram, which is 1,500 miles away at Indian Harbor in Labrador, which is where he sends his announcement to the New York Times and sold the rights to his story for $4,000. Whatever. And so, interestingly, so Cook had his journals, but he had lots of materials and like tools and stuff that he left at Noatak. Sorry, I can't. Noatak. Yeah. And Peary essentially refused to let them on the ship, and like it sounded like they were basically just left on the rocks to just perish because he's pissed.
Oh my gosh.
So everybody gets back. We have the two competing headlines. So Cook's headline is first, Peary's headline the next week. And at first, like everybody believed Cook. But Peary went on a fucking campaign to discredit him. Of
course he did.
So he had a guy who had gone with Cook to Summit McKinley / Denali. And even though for years and years he talked about the trip and how they had done it or whatever, Peary paid him off to sign an affidavit that they never reached it to discredit him.
Stop it. That's so dirty. So dirty.
The National Geographic Society decided that they were going to review Cook's documentation. You know, the society that funded Peary's expedition to do this. And they claimed after reading it that it wasn't true, but they did not examine Peary's documentation.
That's bullshit.
It is bullshit. So, like, eventually the tide turns because all of these things are coming out. They're discrediting him. The National Geographic Society is saying, no, that didn't happen. Obviously, you're lying.
Oh, such bullshit.
And so, like, in disgrace, Cook ends up, like, leaving and goes to Europe for, like, a year or two just to get away from it all because, like...
He's just like, fuck you guys.
Yep. I mean,
he's later... like, I know what I did. He's like, I know what I did.
And, like,
I foraged for 4 fucking months in a goddamn cave.
I fucking survived in an ice cave, damn it.
Yeah, it's like, what did you do? You had a feeling that you were at the fucking North Pole?
I know.
Like, a feeling?
A feeling. Such bullshit. So, you know, ultimately in the end, Cook does some shitty stuff too. He ends up getting into something else, and there's fraud, and he goes to jail. But it's probably all just like what happens in life. Like, so
depression and like you just spiral.
So like I'm not saying he's a great, wonderful guy, but what I am saying is that Peary is a fucking liar. Got all butthurt because he wasn't first, and he told his mommy he was going to be famous, and like it was owed to him, and so he just destroys another man who did probably do it. Like, we still can't know 100% for sure, but again, his accounts match what other people saw too, as when they were going. So it feels far more likely that he made it first,
right?
And that Peary never did. Fuck that guy.
Fuck him, yeah.
And that is the bizarre story of the discovery of the North Pole.
That is wild.
It's like, what the fuck is even happening? Why?
That is wild.
God. So.
Talk about drama.
So
there
much
was
drama.
No social media back then. That would have been like Woo!
You're not wrong.
That would have been like the new Trump versus Biden, buddy. That would have been like,
I
oh
mean,
my God.
it
Could
feels,
you imagine? Could
it
you
feels like
imagine
that.
having like the Trump or like the Peary side and then like the Cook side, like on social media?
Oh
people
my God.
like, nah.
They'd be like, Cook forever. Yeah.
Yeah. Cook was first. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Leery of Peary, you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a good time. It's a good time.
It was a good time.
It's a bizarre story, but it's a good time.
That is a bizarre story. I never knew that.
No. But again, could not tell you who is the first to get
everybody knows.
I've been like,
do we? Because I did not.
What a thing we're supposed to know?
Did not.
I didn't learn that.
No.
So.
Did not know that. Mm-mm. Yeah.
All right, Claire.
Even when you said their names, I was like, no.
I don't know. I mean, like I've heard of
none of this.
I've heard of cooks, but like not in any specific.
Yeah. I'm like, none of this sounds familiar. No. Mm-mm. That's entertaining and wild. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Around the world to the North Pole.
Right.
All right, Claire, what story have you brought us for Around the World?
I'm going to be talking about organ trafficking.
Yay! I bet Peary would be part of that.
Oh,
he would absolutely be an organ trafficker. I feel that energy from him. Mm-hmm.
Oh, he would. Absolutely. Got my sources from Wikipedia, Exodus Road, BBC, and I forgot to write it down. I think it was called The Conversation. I'll have to go back and double check it. Anyway, so as we all know, organ transplants, you know, some people have to have them to live. You know, shit happens. Mm-hmm. Yeah, shit happens. Sometimes your body just.
Sometimes you need a kidney. Sometimes you need a liver. I mean,
or a heart or whatever. You know. Sometimes your body's just like, I can't do this. And
it's like, I need an upgrade. This one's not working.
Right. Yeah. It's like, this one's just not happening. Mm-hmm. Organ transplants are more of a modern medical marvel. And they were really deemed like super risky until the intro of immunosuppressive drugs in the 1980s. Mm-hmm. And that's when they really started to kick up. Once those drugs started, you know, the drugs that help your body from rejecting the new organ. And once we got those drugs, that's when more organ transplants started happening, really in the 80s. Now organ transplants are conducted in more than 90 countries worldwide.
Yeah.
And need for organs is greater than the supply.
Yes.
Yeah. 150,000 organ transplants are performed annually worldwide, but less than 10% of the organs are what's actually needed. So like only 10%, you know, that's only 10% of what people need as far as like people waiting for organs. And so, you know, you sit on a organ donor list for years and years and years, or the desperate people do desperate things, and greedy people are going to be there to benefit and exploit those people and other vulnerable people. So that's where organ trafficking can come in. And there are like, it falls into two categories. There's organ trafficking and trafficking persons for organ removal.
Oh, yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. So organ trafficking refers to illegal handling of organs, i.e. like selling organs for profit or advertising that you want to buy or sell an organ. So Craigslist, I guess. Or the like, dark web.
I mean, I got two perfectly good kidneys. Anybody want one? I mean, yeah.
Right. And I think it's actually called like the red market or like the plasma market.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Stuff like that kind of stuff. Trafficking persons for organ removal. It's when a person is exploited, deceived, coerced, or abused for the use of their organs. So somebody's tricked. The actual trafficking of the person is the crime. So the organ doesn't actually have to be removed for the crime to take place.
Good.
I mean, yeah. So the person is trafficked. That's a crime. But then afterwards, if the organ is removed, that's also a crime. So
two separate crimes. Got it.
It could be, yeah. But just because the person is trafficked, that is also a crime. So we'll get into that later. There's stories of things like that happening. So this kind of thing, like you might envision like these illegal transplants like taking place in like some abandoned building, like in skanky conditions, or like some kind of shady apartment, you know, and you think of like the bathtub thing.
Yeah, you waking up in a bathtub and you have a
full of ice and you're missing a kidney, like that kind of stuff. But actually, no. They take place in hospitals with legit medical staff, which is kind of like, that's what I have in my head. You think of like shady organ transplants. You're just like, oh yeah, God, how do you know? No, they're going down like normal organ transplants in hospitals. Organ trafficking rings, apparently they're highly organized and they collaborate with the people who you think would fight such a thing, like, doctors, lawyers, notaries. These are the people who are in there who are fixing the paperwork, and they're probably getting a kickback for such things to make it look like it is legal, but it is not. But the medical sector is actually aiding in trafficking organs, which that kind of like blows my mind a little bit, where I'm just like, like what? Why? But I'm like, but then greedy people are going to be greedy. You know, if they need money, they're gonna. You get extra money.
To me, it's one of those. Just because you are a professional of some kind doesn't mean that you don't have some like crazy gambling debt or have over speculated, or like you aren't desperate in need of stuff as well. Just because you make a lot of money doesn't mean you don't owe a lot, I guess. So right.
Well, and doctors, they do. You come out of medical school, you got a shit ton
of debt,
of college debt. Yeah. And this is a big business. Anywhere from 840 million to 1.7 billion annually.
Damn.
In organ trafficking, which I was like, holy shit. There's like 12,000 illegal transplants. And that's like 10% of all transplants they do a year are illegal. And I'm just like, damn. You just think of like, that's gonna be in my brain. Like anytime anybody's like, I'm getting a transplant, I'm like, is it illegal? That's like 1 in 10. 1 in 10 transplants are illegal. And I'm just like, fuck. That some of these numbers were like crazy to me. And they are this kind of crime, it's harder to track because it does take place in hospitals and where they can do things like fix the paperwork, and you have certified medical professionals and you have the lawyers and the notary, all those things involved who can make it look like it's completely above board when it's not.
Right.
And one of the things too is U.S. Department of Justice doesn't include organ removal in its definition of human trafficking. So
wow. Okay.
Yeah. Which that seems
odd. Okay. Sure.
Because this is, I mean, obviously this is, like human trafficking in general is a big thing. Sex trafficking, obviously those are bigger, but this kind of thing, it's still there. Yeah. It's still happening. It's, and this thing happens worldwide. It's the highest numbers happen in North Africa and the Middle East, but they said that there are growing numbers in also more common in South and Southeast Asia, Central America and Europe. And I'm just like, damn. I mean, the Africa and the Middle East doesn't really blow my mind so much. Some like, Europe does. It's
Yeah.
like that one really, it's like, what? Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you travel abroad to get an illegal organ transplant, it's called transplant tourism.
Sure.
Yeah.
Why
And
not?
so that, yeah. And like I said, it happens, where there's fewer regulations and it's perfect for, these criminal networks to get in, they can build their circle with any kind of corrupt doctors, hospital admins,
Mm-hmm.
law enforcement, lab techs, anybody who touches anything
Yeah.
that could be involved in this to make everything look like, oh yeah, this is legit. This is fine. And then they've got their own little, because there's like, it says like there's like the upper world criminal, which is like the higher end, like the doctors, lawyers, all these people who work above. But then there's like the underworld, which is like the people who are like the couriers, the recruiters, the drivers, people who, take these people
Right.
places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just like to mesh these two worlds together. It's like to reconcile that they're working together. Just, I don't know. It makes my brain hurt because it's like, why would you do this? Why? Because, like I said, you just think of like a bad movie.
Yeah.
You think, oh, they're just stealing people off the street. They're taking them to these abandoned warehouses and they're just just stealing their kidneys.
Not my
Apparently not.
kidney.
Apparently not. That's not how this is going down. Typical victims of this kind of crime are refugees, migrants, asylum seekers. They do it because they think that they're going to get money so they can like pay a smuggler's fee to either get them out of the country or to send back to family members in another country. And a typical like average person for this is an adult male who's around 30 years old.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. I guess because they're the ones who are usually like, oh, I got to go take care of my family,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not to say that's the only one because
No.
yeah, but that's like average. Um, a lot of them it's recruited online, but some of them are in person and people who have lots of financial instability, obviously. But a lot of them are uneducated because these people will come to them and they will lie to these people, make sure that they're extremely educated. They'll tell them lies like, you have 3 kidneys, so we can take one. Or they will tell them something like, how like your liver can grow back if you take half of it. They'll tell them something like your kidney can grow back if we take it. Something like that. People who don't know any
who just
better.
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're promised, money, sometimes anywhere from $500 to $10,000, depending on what. Then they're promised like really good medical care afterwards, but then it's not what they thought it was. And a lot of times they're forced or tricked into signing consent forms. Sometimes they can't read it. Sometimes they're forced into signing things saying that they're related to the person that they're giving the organ to when they're really not. Or they're tricked into doing things to make it look like, and I'll get to that in a minute on one of the stories that happened. Yeah. Yeah. So it's just, there are so many things that these people do. And so one of the cases, because they said there was one case that there was like a bunch of in like Pakistan where a bunch of people had been tricked into like giving their kidneys in return for like some kind of monetary value, and none of them were paid. But then they returned around and sold their kidneys for like $4,000, like US dollars. And I'm just like, that's super shitty.
Yeah.
It's like you're telling these people you're going to give them money, and then you're turning around and selling these kidneys for $4,000. And these other, obviously, you think, well, you're like, well, they're saving people's lives, kind of, but still, it's like, but you're taking people's kidneys.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess to me, like, I struggle with the, like, you should be able to sell a kidney, I think, and you should be able to sell like a chunk of your liver because you can live without them.
Yeah.
But like, And I feel like that would help. I mean, it's not fair. It's complicated, but like,
Yeah.
at least fucking pay the people who have
Yeah.
chosen this. Like, what the
But that's the whole
hell?
thing about organ things. Like,
Yeah.
really, organ donors, it's like not illegal for you to donate an organ if you're not
But you,
being compensated. But
yeah,
it's
it's
the
like
whole
you
being
can't be
compensated
compensated.
thing.
And I'm
Yeah.
like, but like, I'm going through pain and suffering. Why can't I be compensated?
Right. And so this is from the BBC article that I found. And they changed his name. It was 21-year-old guy named Daniel, and he was from Lagos, Nigeria. And I don't know how they got in contact with him or if he was looking, but maybe he's looking for a job. Anyway, he found this like life-altering opportunity for a new job to come to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And so he said that they did like a blood test beforehand, and he thought it had something to do with his visa.
Right.
But obviously did not. It was to make sure that he was healthy enough for whatever was, And so then it was like everything went through, and these people show up and they put him on a plane, but then they take his passport, and they have his passport, and
Oh,
he's not.
no.
Yeah, so he's with these people, and they didn't let him have his passport back. So they basically are controlling him from that point.
Right.
And yeah, and so he gets to the UK, and it's this whole thing about they had him meet this woman she was 25 years old. Her name was Sonia, and she was sick. She needed a kidney transplant, and he still didn't know that that's why he was there. And so then they had him take a picture with her, and so then they were passing him off as her cousin. So it's like, here we have a photo of them together. So it's just like, but so, and they had an interpreter come to like coach him what to say to doctors. And that's one of the things you have to do when you are going through possible organ donation is you have to go through a lot of psychological evals to make sure you are, mentally prepared for what can come after you donate an organ, like the health and all that. And that's one of the things that the WHO makes you do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things that, if it's not legit, is if they're not doing psych evals.
Right.
And so, but they had done it this way to make it look like it was legit. And so these doctors are in here talking to this guy. And even though the interpreter, I guess they could tell something was off. And so the doctors were like, this guy's not, something's off about this. And so they stopped that part of it, and he went back to his flat. And then these guys show up at his flat, and he hears them talking, and he said that they were just going to do the kidney removal there at the apartment. Yeah. And so he got away. He was able to flee, get out.
Wow.
And so then he was just like roaming the streets.
Yeah.
For like 2 days, just because he was terrified.
Yeah.
He didn't have money.
Yeah.
He didn't have money. He didn't have a passport. So he's basically like homeless, running around for like 2 days trying to avoid these people and stay alive. And finally he goes to a police station over there. And then he tells them like what's happening, what's going on. And they start investigating. And in their investigation, they find out this 25-year-old girl, Sonia, her dad is some senior senator who's like a multimillionaire from Nigeria. And that's why they wanted him to come over and or trying to find somebody to come over to give a kidney. And it was just like, what is happening? But then they found through it wasn't just this guy. Of course, this guy's saying, he's like, oh, I didn't know that's what was happening. And it's like, what the fuck ever, dude? Whatever. But that through this same doctor and same train that there had already been like an illegal transplant that had happened like 2 years previously with another person. And it was like the transplant had actually happened.
Wow. And
that's like this kind of stuff is happening more than what people realize.
Of course, yeah.
And then doing things like this, like, oh, you can come over here for a job, and then they get here and it's not a job. It's
We want your organ. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we want some kind of organ from you. And it's just, oh my gosh.
Wow.
And then next thing you know, you've given somebody your kidney and you've got a giant scar on your side. You're like, I don't know what to do now.
Yeah.
And these people still have your passport and you have no money.
Yeah. It's like,
so it's just kind of like, yeah, but it's just wild to me that this kind of stuff is going on worldwide all the time.
Yeah. Oh my
More
God.
so than what you would think. But the 3 top organs that are wanted in organ trafficking are kidneys, livers, and this one shocked me, corneas. Yeah,
oh my God.
I know. Corneas.
Can you do that? Can you give a cornea? Are you then blind in that eye? Like, what the hell?
Yes, I would say they'd have to remove your whole eye.
Okay. I'm creeped out by that.
But the rising things that are happening are human eggs, skin. Yeah, I guess skin grafts. I don't know. Skin, human embryos, and blood plasma.
Oh. Like, just pay people for the plasma. Like, you can do
I know,
that.
right? Like, how hard
that's
is
not a big
that?
deal. Like, that feels like, I mean, you get paid to donate plasma anyway. So, like, I don't understand.
Right.
What? Okay.
But yeah, so.
Weird.
Right. So. Wild with the human organ trafficking. Because I was like, what?
I am. I don't even know what to say.
Right. Yeah. Like I said, I was like Googling because I was like sitting there one night, like, what am I going to do my story on?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know. I can't remember that like just came up. And I was like, wait, what?
Wow.
I'm like, that's crazy. And I just like fell into like a little bit of a hole. And I'm like, this is wild.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, and there's story after story of like Daniels. But anyway, he's like now in like protective custody because he's seen those people.
Right.
They know him. And especially now that they know that senator's involved, he obviously has some power hitters behind him that they could come after him. So it's like he's that. And that's why they changed his name in the article too. So it's like they've, you know, I guess he's almost like in a, you know, what's the word? Like, when they take you and hide you. My brain.
Witness protection?
Yes, that. My brain is not working. It has been a long week, guys. It's almost something like that for UK, I guess. But yeah, he's like in some kind of like hidden protective custody over there because it's just like, yeah, that's not good. This is not good for you. These people, because it's almost something like almost like an underground mafia kind of like, but dealing with organs.
I think I'm gonna keep mine. How about you?
I know, right? Yeah, I'm just like,
I'm gonna hold on to them for a bit.
But now anytime somebody tells me that they have to get some kind of transplant, I'm gonna be like, well, sus. Is it legal?
Like, which way are you going?
Yeah, I'm like, who are you getting the organ from? Is this legal? Like, wow. I'm always gonna like raise an eyebrow now. Like, 1 in 10 of these are not legal. Like, that's just to me just blows my mind. Like, what? Wow. That seems like a really high number to me.
That is really, I never would, like, I mean, I always knew that it existed and it was a problem, but like not necessarily in that way.
Right.
So,
yes. And I mean, and like I said, it's mostly happening in other countries, but that doesn't mean it doesn't happen here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know, but like I said, there was story after story of like Daniels of people, you know, them saying, oh, come over here for a job. And then it's not a job. Or, you know, people looking for ways out of terrible situations in their country. And that's how they do it, is like, oh, well, we'll give you money if you give us this kidney or this whatever of yours. And then they don't get the money. And you're just like, that's super shitty.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my story on
that's nightmare
worldwide organ trafficking.
Around the world with a kidney. Or not.
Right. or maybe a cornea. I don't know.
It's horrifying.
I know when I saw that one, I was like, oh God, like, ew, ew, no. Like, I mean, I get why heart's not on there because the person cannot live without the heart. Like, I get that. But like you said, you're like, but you can't see. Like, what? You just going in and removing an eye? Like, what?
I can't. I mean, no, I'm going to keep mine. Thank you. They're shitty, but they're mine.
Yeah. Oh my God. Nobody wants mine. No.
I'm blind. It's not worth it.
Yeah. You take mine. You take mine. You have to wear contacts or like a monocle if you've got good vision in your one eye, then you have to wear a monocle on the other one because no. Nope.
On that lovely note, Claire. Claire, what are you judging this week?
Oh God, I've got like Mr. Peanut in my head.
Yes,
that's a monocle. Oh, this week has been long, guys. It's been chaotic. Oh my gosh. I am judging that stupid kicker from the Kansas City Chiefs and his fucking commencement speech.
What a piece of shit. Oh.
100%. And I know everybody's like, oh, y'all are cherry picking. I don't fucking care, man. You don't go to a commencement speech and say that kind of bullshit.
No, you do not.
I mean, that's not, no. It's like, y'all are cherry picking. He's Catholic and he was at a Catholic college. And he was just saying that you need to like the ultimate tone of his speech was like, you just need to like lean into your Catholic faith, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a shit.
It's like that may have been his tone, but he said this thing.
Yeah.
To be like, good job, women, on getting this degree, but now you need to go be good mothers and wives because that's more fulfilling for you.
Like, fuck that.
Yeah.
Although, I don't know if you listened to that part where he's talking about that and then like right on cue, a baby starts crying in the background.
No, I didn't.
And it's like, bah, ha, 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 ha. I was like, a baby starts like screaming and I'm like, no, I'm good. Thanks. Like, no, get out of here.
It's like your entire goal as a commencement speaker is to inspire the people to go forward and pursue their dreams and, follow their hearts and
leave the world better than what it was. And
they get to decide. They get to decide what that means, not you.
Yeah.
Gross.
I mean, good God. Gross. I mean, it was just like, ew, yuck. I was like, what in the Handmaid's Tale is this?
Yeah. It's like, dude, I don't care if you're Catholic and you're at a Catholic school because generally institutions are religious in name far more than they are in especially Catholic schools. I mean, like it's there, but it's not like there.
I mean, it's not like you're at a Mormon school because I feel like they're way more strict than like. But you know what I mean?
It's not that, and you as a student do not have to be of that
Catholic,
of that string of religion to attend. So, like, know your audience, which is college graduates about to enter the world, not anything else.
And also, not only that, he's telling these women that basically, okay, cool, you got a degree, but don't use it and go be moms. He was basically telling the men to go be like toxic masculine. Yeah. And I'm like, that's gross too, my dude. What are you? Ew. Why? He's like, go out there and be manly men and all kinds of bullshit like that. And I'm like, and you wonder why we choose the bear?
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah.
This right here.
Yeah.
Ew. Gross. Ew. Anyway. Yeah. I'm judging him, man. Get out of here. Yeah. And then I was cracking up because then I see all these things where it's like the NFL has come out with a statement like distancing themselves from him, basically saying like what he said at his commencement speech is his beliefs and his things, and what he says is not the view of the NFL, not the view of what the NFL believes. And in that same vein, then you have Patrick Mahomes, who came out and he's talking about women's sports because he and his wife Brittany own soccer team,
Right.
a women's soccer team. And he's like talking about how women's sports are starting to be better. And, you know, he wants to like make it better because he's got daughters.
Yeah.
You know, and he's like, the future is women's sports and we need to, you know, and I'm like, look at this. Here you've got two guys on the same fucking football team and you've got like polar opposites and of what's happening here. And here was Patrick Mahomes like lifting up, like, this is what we need to do. We need to like,
we need to support.
We need to support women's sports and we need to do this because, you know, especially because he's got daughters. He's like, I want to make this world better for my daughters and give them, you know, good role models, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you've got this douche canoe.
Dickweed.
Yeah.
Some very Peary energy happening here.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So yeah, it was just all that in this 1 week with him. Oh, and then I got a second judge because I know you don't follow golf.
No.
But have you seen?
Yes, I have seen.
Shit show.
Oh my!
The absolute shit show
Louisville
that is
Metro
happening
Police.
in Louisville right now.
Oh my fucking God.
OMG. Like yesterday, y'all, I don't even follow golf.
No, but it was
everywhere. the PGA tournament is in Louisville right now, which Kentucky can't like do anything right.
No.
I mean, it's like anything good happens in Kentucky, they lose their fucking shit and they act like idiots. Anyway, they were it was like, there's a lot of parking at, I think it's the old Cardinal Stadium or something. Anyway, they park one place and there's these shuttle buses that take people to Valhalla. Okay. I just love that. We're going to Valhalla. Yeah. We're going to Viking heaven. Anyway, that's the name of the golf course where they're doing the PGA. And which this is tragic. I'm not making fun of this at all.
No.
A shuttle bus hit a pedestrian or hit a worker. Anyway, killed the guy. That's tragic. Awful, terrible. They had to shut the streets down because they killed somebody, and you have to do that. Traffic accident. Anyway, number one golfer in the world apparently sees this roadblock and doesn't know that somebody has died. Scotty Scheffler. And he drives around it. The cops pull him over because, like, dude, what are you doing?
Right.
You can't do this. He thought, from what I understand, he thought it was just like, for the tournament, some kind of like roadblock thing for the tournament. And he's like, oh, it doesn't apply to me. I'm the number one golfer in the world.
Right. There is an element of hubris and stupidity in this, but
yes,
still.
there is. Anyway, so then he gets in an altercation with the LMPD, Louisville Metro Police Department. They arrest him.
Yes, they do.
They arrested the number one golfer in the world. The man now has a mugshot.
Sure does.
From the LMPD in an orange jumpsuit. And now there memes abound. I have one in my phone that's like, he's like, green jacket from the Masters. You go to Valhalla, you get the orange, jumpsuit.
Well, and
I'm just like,
I was cracking up that they managed to release him. So he had about 45 minutes before his tee time. I'm like, oh, well, good. I'm glad he still gets to go play golf.
Yeah.
But
no, he's got like charges against him. It's not like they just let him go.
No.
He's got some charges against him. But
to me, what frustrates me,
holy shit,
to like level 300,000 is that this is a situation that a conversation could have fixed without an altercation. Because, like, cop is like, the fuck you doing? I mean, they ratchet it up. LMPD, no, I don't live there, so they can't come at me. Like, they're not great. There's a lot. I have friends who work in Louisville, and they're like, they're shitty. They're shitty. And
they're big dick energy, too.
There have been a lot of comments that, like, if it had been a black golfer, they'd be dead. So, like, that's just, it is what it is. But, like, honestly, it could have easily been like, excuse me, sir, what do you think you're doing? To which this response could have been, I'm part of the golf thing. I thought I could go this way. At which point it's, sir, the barriers are up because there's a traffic accident. You can't be here. At which point the person goes, oh my God. Like, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Here's maybe a warning or like, help me find where I need to go. Like, I don't understand. Like, it's the dumbest fucking thing.
Like, I feel like there's shitty things on both sides.
Oh yeah, they both were shitty, but like a conversation without dick energy would have fixed the goddamn thing. And that's what makes me angry.
I feel like there's big dick energy on both sides,
Everywhere.
and that's what happened.
God,
but now
can
there's
we
like
stop
video
peeing on shit.
I know. Quit marking your territory. And now there's like video of Scotty Scheffler like being taken away in handcuffs, being arrested like really early in the morning
I seen the
before
picture.
his tea time. Yeah. And then now he's got his mugshot and his orange jumpsuit. And I'm just like, oh my God. And so everybody, I'm just like,
Bravo.
really, Kentucky?
Bravo,
really?
Kentucky. Way to shine on the national stage.
We are keeping it classy. And although I really do, I feel for the guy who passed.
No, absolutely. That is
like, I'm not making fun of that at all.
It's literally everything else.
That's tragedy. Absolute tragedy. Horrific. I hate it. It's the bullshit that happened afterwards where it was just like, what the fuck is happening right now? What is this timeline we're living in? I don't even know. Anyway, those are my judges. Like I said, this week has been chaotic.
I know. I feel that.
Absolute chaos.
I feel it. I feel it in my soul.
Anyway, what are you judging?
Me. It's me. So this week has also been a shit show. I have had some good times. I work remotely, if anyone cares. No one cares. But like, we do have an office nearby that we sometimes use. And this week we had 3 days in office for a small group of us to fix shit that shouldn't be our responsibility. But you know what? In any workplace, there are doers and then there are lazy pieces of shit.
Yes.
I am in the doer category, so I get invited to things like this. So I'm like, cool. There were fun times. There were helpful times. There were times that made me go, the fuck?
You're like, what is happening?
But mostly a pretty good experience. Like, I mean, the people that were there, you know, they're part of the doer team. The doers were together doing their stuff. Not all the doers were there.
Right.
There were plenty of other doers that were not there because, again, remote, we're all over the place. But anyway, what I'm judging this week has been my numerous experiences driving back and forth and the shit show that is Connecticut drivers. Like, I know I have complained about this before, but like I told this to Claire. Things you don't know about us. Claire and I, for our college graduation, went on a European excursion and saw all the things, all the places.
It was like 2.5 weeks. Yeah.
I mean, we were like, it was great. I still think about it. It's good times.
I do too. That was like one of the best trips ever.
So like we had a great time and our trip ended in Athens, Greece. And it's been a great trip. We've had a great time. We've met some cool people. We've seen some cool shit. And we are heading home. So, like, we're at our hotel. We're getting a taxi to go to the airport to take our asses home. And when I say that was the most terrifying ride of my life, I, at that point, had been to China where there aren't even lanes. And, like, can't even read roads. Like, just, like, total nightmare of traveling in Asia. If you've been, you know. Yeah. But, like,
I feel like that was even scarier than us being on that bus in Egypt.
This was worse.
Where there were, like, just, like you said, no lanes. It's like, what the hell is happening here? What is this? Are there traffic laws? We don't even know.
But, like, I was pretty confident that we were never leaving Athens intact because how we made it to that airport without dying still boggles my mind. I mean, like, I'm just like, I'm not trying to exaggerate for effect here. Like it really was a very concerning journey where we were all holding our breaths, and it's fine. We survived.
Because we're sitting in the back trying to like convert kilometers to miles per hour.
We're like, how fast is this man going?
Is this man actually going? I feel like he's breaking some laws.
So, like, with that in mind, I told Claire before we started recording that I would choose to take that taxi ride again before I would drive in the state of Connecticut. That is how
That's pretty bad.
Like, so thank God I'm a homebody. Like, we go out some, but we don't go out a whole lot. But I swear to God, almost every time I go out, and I'm driving less than a mile most of the time when I leave this house. Like, I am within like a 2-mile radius of where, because
you're just not like having to drive like
in the middle of things. Like it's all here. Right. We don't have to go very far. But that I almost always see something fucking ridiculous. So like this week, as I am coming home from my long day at work. I am at a red light. The light is red. I have stopped my car. I'm going to go straight. There are 2 lanes going straight. I'm in the left lane. It's yellow. It turns red. I have stopped. Like, I have time to pick up my water bottle and take a drink and set it back down that it has been red that long. The other light going across has turned green. There are 2 cars that are getting ready to go. One is going to turn right. One's going to go straight across. When the guy in the lane next to me just starts rearing up, like he's just coming. Light is solid red, been red. And he's like, fucking, I don't care. And he just goes and almost hits both cars separately because, like, they're going. One is getting ready to turn right. And, like, they manage to stop, and he kind of swerves around them. The car next to them has no fucking clue what's happening because they can't see. The car is blocking them. So they're getting ready to go straight, and, like, they almost hit the guy. They manage to stop, and he's like, and goes on. And I just sit there, and I'm like, what the actual fuck? Like, everybody here is like, oh, hey, it's like, it's yellow, red, I can still make it before. Like, everyone runs. Yeah. Everybody runs red lights here in a way that annoys me. But, like, this was so blatant and ridiculous because everybody pauses. When the light turns green in Connecticut, you do not go. You stop, you look, then you go. Because that's how bad it is here.
That's awful.
But then, like, I got so fucking mad. Because, like, the guy gets up to the next red light, which is not that far. And he has to stop at that one because there's fucking crossing guards there. It's a school zone, whatever.
Oh, you cannot. Yeah.
And so, like, I get there and I am, like, almost right beside him because my light turned green and I went forward. And I was just like, what did that fucking get you? What the fuck was even the point of that fucking bullshit?
You're like, what did you gain? We're at the same goddamn light now.
Hell. Like, you almost ruined your car. And I said, I swear to God, if there had been an accident, I would have stayed until the cops came and been like, let me give you all of my contact information. Let me tell you anything you want to know, because by God, it's this person's fucking fault and they're pieces of shit.
Like, they caused it 100%.
So the other one that happened this week, I didn't tell you this one. So there is a place where, like, it's 2 lanes that go straight, but right after you cross, it merges into one. And, like, it's not, like, short. It's a little bit of a whatever to merge into
It's not,
one.
like, immediate, yeah.
No, I mean, like, it's, when you first cross, it's like, you should, there's a merge. You should merge. And so I always get in the left lane to cross because sometimes people in the right lane who can cross straight actually want to turn right. And you can turn right on red, so whatever. I am the first person in the lane. So light turns green, I go, and, like, this car from way behind me decides that they have to speed up to beat me to get in front of me. And I'm like, the lane at this point has merged. So, like, I'm almost hit. And I'm like,
oh, no.
I want to kill you. I want to fucking kill you. And so, just to beat me. And I shit you not, I followed them all the way back to where I fucking live. They live in, like, the thing right next to me. Like, not in the same.
Shut up.
There's, like, a little apartment complex that's, like, right at this. Like, we turn in the same place, but they turn. And I was so tempted because, like, I realized that they thought I was following them because, like, there's several turns to get there, and they're like, this is fucking hilarious. And I almost, because I'm a dick sometimes, and I sometimes want to piss on stuff myself. But I was so fucking mad about it that I almost followed them to roll down my window and be like, what did that get you? We got here at the same fucking time, you dipshit. But I didn't. But I wanted to. And I've thought about it since then. Since I know where they live and I know where the car is, I can just walk to it and put a note on the car and be like, why do you suck at driving? Like, where are you in a hurry to go? Because you're just going to get stuck with the next thing. Like, calm the fuck down. God, I hate this place. It is so rare that I go more than, like, a couple of days without seeing something that makes me just... And the other thing that makes me is, I was talking to my sister when I was driving yesterday because I was telling her things. And, like, I was going to Taco Bell, which is in, like, a parking lot of insanity where there's a million things. And there's like stop signs at most of the intersections, but incoming traffic doesn't stop. Like when it's a big like entrance incoming, you know, at like malls and stuff, incoming traffic doesn't stop. Everybody else has to stop. But I swear to God, every fucking time, like the people going across pay no attention that they're supposed to fucking stop. They just don't stop. And like incoming traffic will just stop. And I'm like, just fucking go. Like we're not supposed to stop. I need you to just like, does no one have to take a test here? Like what the hell is even happening? God. And like
do they just give you your driver's license?
I want to remind everyone, I have driven in Boston because I live just right outside of Boston. I've driven in LA, which is a huge fucking shit show. Like huge. I've driven in Portland. I have driven all over the goddamn United States back and forth crisscrossing because we surely as fuck can't pick where we want to live. So we keep moving to all the corners of the US. And I have never seen anything as ridiculous as it is here. Like, I bitch about it all the time. People are like, oh, is it really that bad? I'm like, have you literally never been somewhere where people don't suck at driving? Because, like, whoa. And they everyone here blames New York. Oh, it's the New York drivers. It wasn't this bad. I'm like.
You're like, is it though?
Where are the cops? Arrest them. Pull them over. Write them tickets. My God.
Where are the cops?
Oh, God. It's exhausting. LMPD, come up here and fix our driving.
Like, apparently
come get
LMPD
your big dick energy up here. No,
I know LMPD needs to come up to Connecticut.
It is such a shit mess. So that is my judge. I fucking hate driving here, and I pay astronomical insurance because that's how shitty it is up here. Because wrecks, I mean, like you just oh my God, it's insane. Anyway, that's my judge.
That's excellent.
Thank you.
I'm always here for judging bad drivers.
Oh, Lord.
That's a great judge.
Thank you. So, it must be time for...
It must.
Tarot time with April. A spooky. All right, Claire.
Yes.
What shall we ask our tarot cards this week?
What does the universe have in store for Scotty Scheffler?
Ooh, universe. Oh, universe. Scotty Scheffler he's had kind of a dickish week. Maybe he deserves it. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. It's not for me to say. But universe, what comes next? What comes next for that guy?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Do. Let's just stop here.
Just want to know what happens to Scotty. Since he's had a very eventful tournament weekend.
We have the moon.
The moon. Ooh.
We have the 5. I keep wanting to say sticks. The 5 of sticks. The 5 of wands. I don't know why. It just. Oh, and then we have the Pope-S.
Ooh.
Which is the high priestess, I think.
Yeah,
I think
priestess.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Poor Scotty. What's going to happen to you? Probably nothing bad because he's a real person that people give shits about, unlike the rest of us.
Right. Who has money.
Yep. He's got money. He got lawyers. PGA probably doesn't want him to be too fucked up. This card is about intuition. It's the feeling you get before you get in an accident. Oops. Shit.
Oh, damn.
Something is coming and it isn't good. Okay. Anxiety, nervousness, looming towers, rough water, and a freaky lobster rising from the in the picture on this one they have a freaky lobster. Yep. So okay. It's a lot of things you can't control. So yeah, it sucks to be that guy. All right. 5 of sticks.
Which means he can't control this tournament. Okay, cool. Can't control the tournament.
That's funny. So there's different ways to look at the 5 of wands. One is frustration, and the other is competition.
Well,
All right, then.
or could be both.
Yeah, frustrating
Frustration
in competition.
Competition.
Oh my god. Let's see. If you look at the card in the spirit of competition, let's see. All the men are equally matched, and the one who's worked the hardest and trained the most will be victorious. I mean, all right, sure, whatever.
I mean, yeah.
This is the tarot equivalent of a slap fight. You're trying to go one way, everyone else is going another, and they won't stop messing with you. Okay.
Nice.
All right. Cool. So far, so good. I'm enjoying this. All right. And they're going to end with the priestess. Let's see. There's a lot of explanation about things that's not really about the card. Okay. She is the keeper of secrets, decides who sees behind the veil, a deeply mysterious card, and represents calm, patience, and hard work. When the card surfaces in a reading, she's warm and welcoming, stern and judging, kind and compassionate, and encourages you to be authentic and whole. She wants you to look harder, ask questions, and dig deep. I tell the client to look deeper, ask questions, trust their intuition, and mind their manners.
Ah, there we go.
Wow. So cool. This isn't an easy card, but it tells you that the hard work will pay off. So work hard and you'll keep winning and maybe not go to prison forever, but we'll see.
But mind your manners. Mind
your manners.
Scotty.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Like, was it Robin Hood? Mind your manners.
Mind your manners. Yes, it was Robin. Everything goes back to Robin Hood.
It does.
Everything. All right. What do you think for next week's topic, Claire?
I don't know.
It could be anything.
Anything.
It could be everything.
What is it? Wait, it gets worse.
Yes. Wait, it gets worse in honor of Brian Hosevar, who is sometimes a listener.
Who's sometimes a listener.
We used to have a podcast called Wait, It Gets Worse, in which the premise of the story was like, hey, something bad is happening, but don't worry, it's going to get worse. Oh, and it keeps getting worse. Oh, hey, look, everything is terrible now. It is a dumpster fire. So that is our time. Yay! I'm excited.
Sweet.
I'm excited. In fact, I think I'm going to tell a story he told on our podcast many years ago.
Okay.
So, yay! That'll
Sounds
be fun.
good.
I'm excited. It'll be fun. You know, the molasses flood would have worked for this.
Yeah, it would have. So would the flood one.
Yes, the flood one, absolutely. Because it's just like, oh, hey,
That
it's a flood.
terrible.
And it's like, oh, hey, wait. Like, oh, it's a barbed fucking wire factory. Oh, hey, wait. Everything's on fire now. Yay! So insane. All right. Well,
that was awful.
Be sure to join us next time as we talk about things that just keep getting worse and worse. But not for us, obviously.
No.
But until then, you can find us in all the things and at all the places at
Brunch and Judge.
Please follow, like, comment, subscribe. And you can send us new topics for our wheel or any stories you'd like for us to cover to us at
brunchandjudge@gmail.com.
So until next time, keep on brunching.
And keep on judging.
And stop the big dick energy. My God.
I was getting ready to say something like that. Like, damn.
Damn it. Bye.
Bye.